Learning how to manage data in Microsoft 365 is a key skill that will enable you to take on any project with certainty. Managing data might sound like a task for computer scientists, programmers, and librarians, but nearly everyone in the workplace manages data daily. Microsoft 365 has extraordinary tools to help you manage your data like a pro. My name is Christine Matheny, and I'm a program manager at Microsoft. In this course, I'm going to show you how to gather, organize, and distribute data using data tools including Forms, Power Automate, Excel, and Power BI. You'll learn high-level skills, including how to customize forms, create pivot tables, and even create reports in Power BI. Learning how to manage data in Microsoft 365 is a key skill that will enable you to take on any project with certainty. Let's get started. You may not realize it, but forms are used all the time in your daily life. Everything from casting your vote to filling out a feedback survey from your favorite coffee brand. Forms are used to gather all kinds of data. In this lesson, I'll show you how to use Microsoft Forms to make surveys, quizzes, and sign-up forms to reveal any data you're looking for. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the app launcher and open Forms to get started. Surveys gather data from clients and can inform you of opportunities to improve. For example, I use a survey every semester to gauge my effectiveness as a lecturer. Another great way businesses can use forms is to collect information. This is a t-shirt sign-up form. Not only do you get information on a client's t-shirt size, but you also get their contact information. You can also use forms for event registration. Having a single list of all the people who are attending an event electronically is the best way to stay organized. By creating a survey for all your company's event registrations, you'll always be able to track down necessary information like number of RSVPs and anything else you need to create a seamless event. While forms and surveys allow you to gather data, you can also use quizzes to assess the knowledge of your clients and coworkers. Quizzes can be fun. I've used this animal quiz icebreaker to engage with my team at the start of a meeting. You can easily assess quiz results with the Microsoft Forms Response tab. Let's take a look at this animal quiz. I can easily scroll through the results to see which questions were the most difficult and which were the easiest. This is indicated on my screen by looking for the questions that have the least number correct or those that have the most number correct. I can also see the results graphically for a quick glimpse into how everyone is doing with the material. You can also download the data in Excel or import the data into your favorite reporting tool to do further analysis. Microsoft Forms provides several opportunities for you to gather information and assess data. This week, create a fun quiz for your coworkers, clients, or students. Getting data directly from your audience can only serve to improve your work. Just like ship captains use the stars, having the skills to navigate through software is key to getting where you want to go. In this lesson, I'm going to walk you through the tools that will keep you organized as you create surveys and quizzes in Microsoft Forms. Starting from the Microsoft 365 homepage, I'll go to the app launcher and open Forms. Here, I can create a new form, view my recent forms, pinned forms, and forms shared with me. If I scroll to the bottom, there is the My Groups pane, where you can see the groups you're a member of and the total number of forms in each group. What's important here at the bottom of my forms is the All My Forms button. This will bring me to a list with a list of all the forms I've created. Here you'll see the forms I've created and the number of responses. On the My Forms page, you have the ability to group your forms into collections to keep them organized together. New collection is located on the upper right. I created one collection that has my surveys. Forms also gives you the choice of viewing a list or a grid. This option is in the top right corner of your screen. I like Grid View because I usually set a theme for each form, making them easy to recognize and find. With List View, I can see all the forms I've created. I can delete a form by clicking the More options in the lower right corner of a card and selecting Delete. I'll confirm by clicking Delete. If you need to restore a form that you've already deleted, not to worry. You can get it back from the recycle bin in the lower right corner. Now you're ready to use Microsoft Forms to choose the right tools to quickly navigate to your forms. Try it out by logging into Microsoft 365, going to the Forms app, and making your first form. Creating custom forms like surveys and quizzes is an efficient and organized way to get the information you need from internal team members and external collaborators. In this lesson, I'll show you how to collect information from your audience by building a Microsoft form using different question types. In this example, I'm going to create a contact form to drive new clients and vendors to a wedding planning company. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the app launcher and open Forms. I'll select New Form. I'll start by adding a name and description. I'll set the form title to Wedding Planning Consulting Interest. I want my client to feel welcome, so I'll write a friendly description. Thank you for your interest in wedding planning consulting. Please fill out the contact form so we can make your wedding a memorable day. It's important to preview your form to make sure it appears as intended. The preview button on the top right allows me to see what the form looks like. Here you'll see that the form title and description match what I typed in. Below the description, you'll notice this disclosure statement. Hi demo, when you submit this form, the owner will see your name and email address. By default, a form is created to collect information from people in your organization. To change the setting, select the Back button in the top left corner of the page to go back to the form design window. Select More Form Settings in the upper right corner and select Settings. I'll switch Who can fill out this form to Anyone can respond so that clients can access the form. Now I'll go back to Preview and the message is removed. Now that the form looks good, I'll select Back to continue creating my contact form. Next, I'm going to add questions to the contact form that will capture relevant information about the future client and the type of services they may be looking for. A good place to start is to ask for their contact information. To add a new question, I'll select Add New. Here, I'm presented with 4 different question types: choice, text, rating, and date. Choice is answering a multiple choice question. Text is a fill-in-the-blank question. Rating is giving an opinion on a scale. And date is when you specify a date from a calendar. For contact information, I'm going to create 3 text questions. I'll select text and enter email address. I'll do this again for first name and last name. The next piece of information that would be helpful is when the clients want to get married. This type of data can be captured with the choice question type. I'll select Add New, Choice, and enter the text, When do you plan to get married? In the Options field, I'll enter these options: less than 6 months, 6 to 12 months, more than 1 year, and I don't know. As a wedding planner, I would also like to know if the clients have already picked a wedding date. You can have them enter it using the date question type. I'll select Add New, Date, and enter. If you've already picked a date, enter it here as the question. And lastly, let's find out how comfortable the clients are at planning things on a scale. So I'll select Add New, Rating with the text, How comfortable are you planning events? 5 being the most comfortable. I will then select the symbol dropdown and choose Number. In a matter of minutes, my interest form is taking shape. Microsoft Forms gives you the power to intentionally gather information from clients and coworkers alike. Take some time and explore the other options in the input fields and consider how you can use them to get the details you need. You've got this. Whether your form has 5 questions or 500 questions, it should be organized well. In this lesson, I'll show you how to customize and build clean, dynamic surveys in Microsoft Forms. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the app launcher and open Forms. Now, I'll open the Wedding Planning Consulting Interest form. First, I need to determine which fields are required for a submission. For this contact form, the minimum information I'll need to be able to follow up is an email address. Without it, I wouldn't know who to follow up with, so I need to make email address a required question. If I select the email address question, I can toggle the required button in the bottom right corner. I'll repeat this for first name. When the client views the form, the required questions will be indicated by a red asterisk. Now that I've set the required fields, I can organize my survey into sections. These help organize the survey so the respondent sees questions in a logical flow. I have 3 contact-related questions that would be good as a section: email address, first name, and last name. Select the last name question, and Add New will appear below it. Select Add New, then More Question Types on the right, and select Section. This will add Section 2 below last name. Section 1 is at the top of the form and contains the 3 contact information questions. Now, you can label each section by selecting the header. For the first section, I'll enter contact information and leave the description box blank. The next section revolves around timing. I'll enter wedding date. Now, I'll add in a final section by selecting the final question. Add New, More Question Types, and Section. This creates a section below this question, and I'll enter Services. I'll move the question about how comfortable the client feels into this section. Select the question, and then the Move Question Down arrow in the top right corner. Fantastic! I now have the wedding date questions in the correct section and the form is organized. You may also want to add branching to your forms to further organize them. Branching changes which questions are asked based on the respondent's answer to previous questions. For this form, if the client wants to have a wedding in the next 6 months, I want them to answer additional questions, so I'll build a new section after Services. After the final question, I'll select Add New and then Section. I'll enter additional information as the name. Then I'll add a new question, select Text, and turn on the long answer toggle so clients can write a paragraph of text. This question will say, "What bookings have you made for your wedding?" Then I'll go back to the rating question and select Copy Question in the top right corner. I'll select Move Question Down once, so the duplicate question is in Section 4. Next, to add branching, I'll go back to Question 4, as the answer to this question will determine what the next question will be. To add branching, select the More Settings for Question, then Add Branching. If the client responds less than 6 months, I will branch to Section 4, Additional Information, by using the Go To dropdown so I can gather the information I need. For the other responses, I will leave them as Go to Next, and they will proceed to Section 3. At the end of Section 3, I will change the Go To dropdown to End of Form so they do not have to fill out Section 4. Select Back to save your changes. Now, the form only asks for additional details if their wedding is within the next 6 months. Finally, you'll want to test the survey. Testing is essential to make sure your survey looks and functions as you intended. First, I'll select Preview in the upper right corner. I'll enter some test data: email, first name, last name. When I select Next, the form goes to the wedding date section. I'll say my wedding is within the next 6 months. And when I select Next, I am taken to the additional information section. So the added branching worked correctly. I'd say this is a successful form. I'll select the Submit button to complete the testing, and select Back to return to the Edit Questions page. With sections and branching, you can create surveys that take clients on a journey of your design. I encourage you to try it yourself. By using these tools, you can create engaging and useful surveys for both you and your customers. Nice work! Once I've created a survey, I can't wait to send it to my clients and collaborators so they can fill it out. In this lesson, I'll show you the ways you can share a survey created in Microsoft Forms. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the app launcher and open Forms. From here, I'll open the Wedding Planning Consulting Interest form. To share the survey and gather data from your clients, you'll select Share in the upper right corner of the screen. Let's look at Send and Collect responses. There are 4 options for sharing a form: a link, QR code, embed, or email. This dialog defaults to the link option, so I'll show you that option first. You can use a link in an email, a chat, or even on social media. Before sending a link, I recommend checking the shorten URL box. This will generate a short web address. Let's test the link before sending it to clients. First, copy the shortened URL by selecting Copy. Then, open a blank tab in your browser. Then right-click in the address bar and select Paste. You're getting a look at how your client will view this link in their web browser. Let's keep exploring. The next option is to generate a QR code. When you select this option, Forms provides you with a QR code image. You'll download the QR code image, and then you can add it to any document. The third option is to get a code to embed your survey into your websites. You can use the HTML code Forms provides in a website or email. To get the code, select Copy. The final way you can share a survey is with an email. When you select this option, your device's default email program will open a new email draft with the form link in the body. So once your survey is out in the world, I'm sure you'll be eager to see the results. To see the results of my survey, I'll select the Responses tab to view the data. In the Responses view, I can open an Excel to view the data in Excel. An Excel file will be downloaded that contains the current results of your survey, which is helpful for analyzing, sharing, and reporting. Being able to share your hard work and get the information you're looking for is easy when using Microsoft Forms. You now have a variety of options to send your survey to current and potential clients. Give it a try. Collaboration is key to any business's successful model. As business consultant and author Ken Blanchard once said, "None of us is as smart as all of us." In this lesson, I'll show you how to share your form with collaborators so that they can view, edit, and review the results of your form. I'll show you the 2 best options for sharing with your team and organization so you can decide which is best for you. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the app launcher and open Forms. From here, I'll open the Wedding Planning Consulting Interest form. To share this form with someone specific on my team, I'll select Share in the upper right corner. At the bottom is Share to Collaborate, and I'll select Get a link to view and edit. If I select the Users with an Office 365 work or school account dropdown, 2 additional options appear. I'll share this with only those who need it by selecting specific people in my organization can view and edit. I can now enter the team member that will help me with this form, Isaiah. Now 2 people have access, Isaiah and myself. If instead I want to share this form with anyone at my organization, I'll change it to People in my organization can view and edit. Now I can copy a link to send it to my colleague Lynn for review. So I'll copy the link and message it to Lynn. Lynn and I can now collaborate and get this form ready to send to prospective clients. As you create forms, be sure to include at least one other team member in the review process. Co-creating and collaborating in Microsoft 365 is a great way to make sure your forms are ready to share with the world. Automation can free up your time and help keep workflows on track and running smoothly. In this lesson, I'll give you a preview of the benefits of Power Automate and how automating tasks can help your business. Do you find yourself completing the same tasks over and over throughout your day? In many cases, automation can help save you time and energy. Removing repetitive tasks from your workflow is a possibility with Power Automate. First, Power Automate has several templates to help you sync your work in OneDrive, send an email for new tweets with a keyword, or notify you when a student submits a response to a quiz. No matter your field of work, Power Automate has the tools to assist you in your daily tasks. Power Automate is also a great tool to keep your inbox under control. You can save email attachments to OneDrive for Business, set up a flow to get approval for holiday requests, or immediately respond to clients who fill out a form. Power Automate also helps you with your project management tasks. You can easily assign tasks to specific team members, track documentation statuses, and create a daily summary of tasks in Microsoft Planner. Power Automate even helps you with your time management by letting you block your calendar for important projects with the push of a button. Finally, Power Automate goes where you go. If you need to quickly check in on a workflow, you can do so through the desktop, web, and mobile versions. It is truly an incredible tool. So, if you're ready to boost your productivity, explore Power Automate to see how it can help streamline your work. If you're going to build a house, you need to know the difference between a hammer and a screwdriver. Getting to know your tools ahead of time saves you headaches in the long run on any project. In this lesson, I'll show you how to launch Power Automate so that you can confidently navigate it to create flows. Let's talk about structure. Power Automate processes are known as flows. These can be described as when this happens, do something. A connector is a connection to a service or product like Outlook or Forms. Connectors contain triggers and actions. A trigger is the when this happens part. An action is the do something part. Together, they build a flow. Now that you understand the relationship between a connector and trigger, I want to show you how to create a flow. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the app launcher and open Power Automate. Here, on the Power Automate homepage, you can see a list of different templates and tutorials for getting started. Power Automate provides 3 options for creating a flow. I can see these by selecting Create on the left side. First, you can start from blank. You might use this when you already know what connectors and actions you need. You also have the option to create a flow by starting from a template. These are commonly used in popular templates, which could help you solve a task you have already. Or you can start from a connector. You can use this when you know what service you want to create an automation around, but are unsure what actions may be available to use. The flows you've created are kept in the My Flows tab. As you get more comfortable with Power Automate's layout, you'll be able to quickly activate flows and improve your productivity. So dive in and start exploring flow templates that will eliminate repetitive tasks out of your workday. Missing a chat or message from a customer can mean missing out on important communication. With Power Automate, you can respond immediately, even when you're away. In this lesson, I'll walk you through creating an automatic email reply to a Microsoft form response using Power Automate so that you can streamline your communication and avoid missed messages. In this example, I've created a contact form for prospective clients that are interested in learning more about ABC Wedding Planning Consulting. I'd like to create an automated reply to let the clients know I've received their request for information as soon as they fill out the contact form. I'm going to build a flow in Power Automate to send this automatic reply. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the app launcher and open Power Automate. From here, I'll select Create on the left panel to make a blank flow. Next, I'll choose Automated Cloud Flow, the first option in the workspace. You choose this option when you want your flow to begin when an action happens. I am using this because my flow will run each time my form is filled out. This will open a dialog where you can name the flow and choose a trigger. I'm going to name this flow Auto Reply. Power Automate lists the common triggers. I'll select when a new response is submitted. Then select Create. Now, Power Automate takes me to the Flow Builder, where I can specify that I want to use the ABC Wedding Planning Consulting Interest Form. The flow will be triggered each time this form is filled out. You may have to sign into Microsoft Forms before being able to select your form. My flow will need information from the form, including the client's name and email address. To get the data, I'll select New Step. I'll search for Get Response and add Get Response details to my flow. For Form ID, I again select ABC Wedding Planning Consulting Interest Form. I will select Response ID and then select Add Dynamic Content. This will let me pull the response ID generated when a new response is submitted. Now that I have the response details, I can create the step to send the email. I'll add a new step and select Standard. I'll be using Office 365 Outlook because I want the emails to come from my work email address. If I used Mail, emails would be sent from my personal email. I will use Send an Email v2 and then start composing the automatic email response. In the To field, I will select Add Dynamic Content and use the email address the client provided. For subject, I'll enter Wedding Planning Interest. In the body, I will add the submitter's first name to make it feel more personal. I will add dynamic content and select first name. I'll enter my message. Hello, first name. Thank you for contacting us. We look forward to making your wedding day special. One of our associates will be following up with you shortly. After creating a flow, I'll select Save in the upper right and test my flow. I always check my flow for errors first by selecting Flow Checker. I have no errors or warnings and can test by selecting Test Flow and manually triggering it. Isaiah has the form open and will submit a response. When the form is submitted, this flow I created will run automatically. I now see that my flow has run successfully. The flow automatically sent a response to Isaiah. Staying on top of communications is pivotal. Consider where you can create a flow that will immediately respond to your potential customers. Power Automate allows you to quickly create processes that boost your business's communication strategy. To complete your goals, making a list of tasks for the day can keep you on track. To free up even more time to spend on what really matters, you can go beyond a list of tasks with automation. In this lesson, I'll show you how to use Power Automate to create and assign tasks to team members using templates. Let's jump in. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the App Launcher and open Power Automate. From here, I'll select Templates from the left panel. The templates are sorted by popularity, and at the top of the list, there's different categories sorted by connectors and triggers. The flow I want to create will be triggered when a client fills out the Wedding Planning Consulting Interest Form. Let's search for Planner and Forms by entering Forms and Planner into the search box. Some templates leveraging these products load, and I'll select Create a Task in Planner from Microsoft Forms and Post Message in Teams. This way, I'll be able to track the incoming requests in Planner and notify my team when new clients request support. This page shows an overview of the template and its connections: Microsoft Forms, Planner, and Teams. Select Continue. Before starting to add content, I like to do a quick scan of the template and make sure it will serve my needs. This flow will be triggered when a new form response is submitted. It will use the details of the response to create a task and then will post a message in Teams. Perfect! I'll select the ABC Wedding Planning Consulting Interest Form as the trigger by selecting Pick a Form in the Form ID box of When a New Response is Submitted. Then repeat with the same form in Get Response Details. Response ID is pre-populated by the template. In the Create a Task section, For the plan ID, I'll use an existing plan called Wedding Planning Interest. I'll enter a title, Contact New Client, and use the Add Dynamic Content link to add name and email address. I'll leave the bucket ID and dates field blank for this flow. Since this task is for Isaiah, I'll enter his email in the Assigned User IDs field. Finally, in the Post a Message in a Chat or Channel section, I'll set up a notification to appear in our team's interest forms channel. This way, everyone will know when a form is submitted. I'll leave the first two boxes, Post as Flowbot and Post in Channel, as their defaults. Flow has an automated bot that will post a message in my team's channel, which is perfect. Next, I'll set my team to Wedding Consulting and set the channel the bot will post in to Interest Form. Finally, I will set the message as New Interest Form has arrived from and add the dynamic content, first name, last name, and email address. Now the whole team will know it has come in. I'll select Save in the upper right corner. I always check for errors by selecting the flow checker, and once I see there are no errors, I can test the workflow by selecting Test, then Manually, then Test. Lynn has this form open and will submit a test response. When the form is submitted, the flow will run automatically. I now see that the flow was successful. The flow automatically assigned Lynn's interest to Isaiah and posted a message in the team's wedding interest channel. Templates are a great way to kickstart your flow creations. Chances are the flow you need probably already exists. So take some time this week to become familiar with the template options in Power Automate. The beauty of templates is that you can customize the flow however you need. It's essential for you to be able to sort and manage your data so that the most important information is right at the top. In this lesson, I'll show you how to use Excel to sort and filter your data so you can quickly find what you need. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the app launcher and open Excel. From here, I'll open the sample sales order Excel spreadsheet. You can find this document in your exercise files. I'm interested in finding a specific order. To use the search function, I'll use Find and Select. Then I'll select Find and enter the sales order number. I'll select Find Next, and Excel will highlight that row. You can also use these functions to look for specific items ordered by Good Toys. Here, I'll enter Good Toys and select Find All to see all the rows with the information I'm looking for. To find orders by customers more easily, I'll sort the data by customer name. First, I'll select the column, then select Sort and Filter from the Home ribbon. Then I'll select Sort Ascending. Let's say I want to see the sales from smallest to largest. I will select the first cell in the Total Due column, then select Sort and Filter, and Sort Ascending. Excel also allows you to filter data. Filtering data allows you to see only the data you're looking for. For this example, I'll use the Order Details sheet by selecting its tab at the bottom. Let's say I'm looking for orders from Good Toys. I can navigate to the Data ribbon and add filter headings by selecting Filter. A drop-down is added to each header for the column. Now I can select the values for the filters. First, I'll select the Company drop-down, deselect Select All, then select Good Toys, and Apply. These are the orders for Good Toys. I can add more customers by selecting Other Customers in the Company dropdown. I'll add Action Bicycle Specialist before selecting Apply. Once I'm done, I can remove all the filters by selecting Clear Filter from Company on the dropdown. Excel also helps you sort using multiple columns in a table. I'm going to sort by the customer and then by the line total. I'll go to the Data ribbon and select Custom Sort. The custom dialog allows me to pick the columns to sort and the order of appearance. I'll start with the company column. To add another column, I'll select Add, and then I'll specify line total, sort descending, and then select OK. This produces a table where I can see the cost of the items each customer ordered, sorted from largest to smallest. Now you have a few new ways to find and sort data using Excel. Take some time to sort and filter your data. It all comes down to knowing what you're looking for. Have you ever been given a table of data and just thought, where do I even start to review this? I know I have. Luckily, pivot tables can help you make sense of your data easily. In this lesson, I'll show you how pivot tables can simplify data and present it in an easy-to-read format. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the App Launcher and open Excel. From here, I'll open the Test Sales Order spreadsheet. You can follow along with this document in your exercise files. We have lots of good data in here. Let's see what it looks like in a pivot table. There are two pivot tables in this workbook: Pivot Table by Product and Pivot Table by Customer. I'll select the Pivot Table by Product tab near the bottom of the screen. This table not only sorts the data by products, but also provides an overview of who purchased each product. Since this table combines the customer and total spending per item data points, I can easily see that the total sales for AWC Logo Cap was $277, and that Eastside Department Store purchased the most. Place your cursor inside the pivot table by selecting cell B3. Then, in the top ribbon, select the Pivot Table tab, then select Field List. In the Pivot Table Fields panel, you can see the two columns selected under rows, Product and Customer. This corresponds to the two columns in A and B on the left. There is also a column in Values, Sum of Line Total, which corresponds to column C and aggregates customer, product, and the sum total. Now, let's look at the pivot table that is sorted by customer by selecting the Pivot Table by Customer tab at the bottom. This shows the breakdown of items purchased by customer. Here, you see that Action Bicycle Specialists purchased 10 AWC logo caps and spent $38 on bike wash. In this table, I can easily add and remove columns by selecting and deselecting the headers in the Pivot Table Fields panel. I'll select Unit Price, which will add unit price to the pivot table to show the individual price of each item. The pivot table function in Excel is a great way to quickly sort and analyze any data points you've been given. Think about how you can introduce pivot tables into your projects, and in doing so, save yourself some time. Filters provide lots of benefits, especially when working with data. In this lesson, I'll show you how to build pivot tables, select fields, and use filters in your own data in Excel to inform your business decisions. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the App Launcher and open Excel. From here, I'll open the Test Sales Order spreadsheet. You can follow along with this document in your exercise files. This spreadsheet has a dataset sales orders and their details. Let's say that I need the data by product and then by customer, so that I can gain insight into which products are doing well and which customers are purchasing them. To do that, I'll create a pivot table, which will allow me to see the link between the products and customers. First, I'll select cell A1, the first cell in my dataset. Then, I'll select the Insert tab in the top ribbon and select Pivot Table. The Pivot Table dropdown appears, and I will select From Table Range to get the data from this sheet. The Insert Pivot Table pane opens on the right. In Source, I can see that Excel picked the Order Details sheet and selected all the values in my table. In the Pivot Table pane, I'll use Create Your Own Pivot Table and insert it on a new sheet. This way, I am able to customize the pivot table to my needs, and it will be separated from my current data. This opens a new sheet with the pivot table on the left and the Pivot Table Fields panel on the right. In that panel, I can see there are two columns, one for the headers from my data table, and then one with filter, rows, columns, and values. I'll choose the data points I need, products sorted by largest customer orders. First, I'll select Product, which populates column A with all the products sold. Next, since I want to see each customer that purchased those products, I'll add Customer to the Filter section and Line Total to the Sum Values section. This aggregates all the line totals for each customer. Let's filter this by channel outlet to see what they purchased. I'll select the dropdown next to Customer in cell B2, deselect Select All, and select Channel Outlet. I can also add order quantity to rows so that I can clearly see the number of units this customer purchased. Now it's your turn. Take a look at your organization's spreadsheets and create useful pivot tables in Excel. You'll have your data in an easy-to-review format. Try them this week. Data can come from many different places. You'll often have multiple spreadsheets that, when combined, would be more powerful. Being able to use Excel's XLOOKUP function will save you time as you join data sources. It's easily my favorite function in Excel. In this lesson, I'll show you how to combine data sources using XLOOKUP. In order to use XLOOKUP, you'll need two Excel tables with at least one column in common. The XLOOKUP function has three required pieces: the lookup value, the single cell I want to look up, the lookup array, or the column where I'll find it, and the return array, the column with data I want to return as a result. In the top left corner of Office.com, I'll select the App Launcher, select All Apps, and open Excel. For this example, I'll open the Customers and Orders file. You can follow along by downloading it from the exercise files. This file has a sheet named Sales Order, which has a list of all the orders that have been placed. It lists all the customer IDs which have placed orders, but it would be more helpful to have the customer names. I have a second sheet in this workbook, Customer. This has a column for both customer ID and customer name. I'll use XLOOKUP to bring the customer names over into my Sales Orders table. I'll return to Sales Order and add a new column, Company Name, to the right of Customer ID. This is where I'll populate the company names. I'll select cell E1, then the dropdown under Insert, and then select Insert Table Columns to the left. I'll rename column 1 to be Customer Name by changing it in the formula bar. Now that there's a new column, it's time to start. I'll select cell E2, and in the formula bar, I'll enter equals XLOOKUP. When I start a cell using an equal sign, it signifies that the cell is a function and not simply a value. The function parameters are listed below the formula bar, so I can readily know what to fill in. The first parameter is lookup value. I want to find the customer ID, so I'll select the cell D2. Excel recognizes it as the customer ID column and populates that in my XLOOKUP formula. Now I'll enter a comma into the formula bar to move on to the next parameter. Next, I'll enter the column where I want to find the customer ID, the lookup array. This is in the customer sheet, so I'll select its tab at the bottom. Notice that XLOOKUP stays in the formula bar as I move. I'll hover my cursor near the bottom of the customer ID column header, where it will change to an arrow, and then select. This will populate the customer ID column from the customers table as a second parameter in the XLOOKUP. It's where Excel will look for the customer ID it found in the sales order sheet. Then, I'll enter a comma in the formula bar to fill in the last required value, the return array. When Excel finds the ID number from my sales order table in the customer table, I want it to return the customer name that is connected to it. So I'll find the company name, column B, and will hover my cursor near the bottom of the header until the down arrow appears, and then select. Now my XLOOKUP formula says, take the customer ID from the sales order table, look that up in the customer sheet, and return the company name. I'll finish this XLOOKUP by closing the formula with a right parenthesis. Excel will take me back to the sales order table where the customer name has populated. This is great! The XLOOKUP is complete. Joining two tables is essential for analyzing data in Excel. The next time you need to combine data from two spreadsheets, try using XLOOKUP. The more you practice using this function, the easier it is to use. You'll be amazed by what you can achieve. Data has become the foundation in which everyone worldwide makes decisions. But as helpful as data can be, at times it can be overwhelming. Microsoft Power BI is a powerful data visualization tool that can create reports and dashboards, allowing you to tell a story with your data. In this lesson, I'll share the benefits of using Power BI so that you can further your data visualization skill set. Microsoft Power BI provides a visual framework for sharing data. Power BI can help model the information, leading to beautiful, intuitive, interactive reports, helping your audience gain insights. Power BI Desktop is free to download to your PC from the Microsoft Store. Power BI connects directly to your existing Microsoft 365 documents stored in your OneDrive or SharePoint. Being able to visualize your data will give you an advantage as you communicate with your team and clients. I encourage you to download Power BI and give it a try. Before you can start creating cool visualizations, you'll need to know the common functions and the screens used to import and review data. In this lesson, I'll show you how to navigate Power BI Desktop and connect the importance of reports to the structure of the program. You can install Power BI on your PC by going to the Microsoft Store and searching for Power BI. When you open Power BI Desktop, you'll see the Start screen. Here, you can see what's new, the Power BI blog, forums, and various tutorials. On the left is a menu of options where you can get data, access recent sources, or open other reports. Once you close the window, you'll be in the workspace. At the top, you'll see the Home ribbon. This ribbon contains the most common Power BI functions. New Visual, which adds a visualization to your workspace. Excel Workbook to import data into the program. And Transform Data to merge data. On the left is a bar with 3 buttons for the Report, Data, and Model screens. Power BI starts on the Report screen. This is where you'll create visualizations. I'll show you a report I'm working on for my sales team. You can download this in the exercise files. It's called Sales Team Visualization. In my workspace, there are 3 visualizations. When I select the Data tab, I can see the data used to create this report. This is the customer table. It looks similar to an Excel table. And on the right is a list of the other datasets imported into Power BI. Next, I'll select the Model tab. This gives you a graphical representation of your data and its relationships. In this example, you're looking at customers, their orders, the order details, and the products they purchased. Now, I'll switch back to the report screen. On the right side of the Reports workspace, you'll see 3 panels: Filters, Visualizations, and Fields. You can use filters to modify your visualizations to only show a subset of data. Power BI allows users to easily switch visualization type by simply selecting the visual styles from the visualization panel. There are typical bar charts, pie charts, as well as advanced charts. The Fields panel is where you select the data you want to report on. When you import data sources into Power BI, they will show up in the Field panel. You will use this panel to select fields for your visualizations. Finally, the Report workspace is broken down into different pages. You can add more by selecting the plus at the bottom. So that's a quick tour of Power BI. Start small and import data from an Excel workbook into the program and get comfortable with the tool. Try it out. Reports need data. Before you can create visualizations and gain insights, you'll need to be able to import datasets into Power BI. In this lesson, I'll walk you through 2 ways that you can import data into this powerful software. You can install Power BI on your PC by going to the Microsoft Store and searching for Power BI. When you open Power BI Desktop, you'll see the Start screen. I'll go ahead and close it. The first way to import data for your reports is from an Excel spreadsheet. In this example, I am importing a list of customers from Excel. There are 2 ways to do this. You can either select Excel Workbook in the ribbon near the top of the screen or import data from Excel from the Add Data menu. I'm going to select Excel Workbook from the Home ribbon. This brings up a dialog where I can select the spreadsheet I want to import. I'm going to open the customer file. You can download this in the exercise files. It's called Customer Data. Navigator opens and has identified one data table in my worksheet called Customer. The data looks correct, so I will select Load and bring it into Power BI. The customer table now displays in the Fields pane. When I expand the customer table using the dropdown, I can see the fields it contains. For a detailed look at your dataset, you can select the Data tab on the left panel. The next way to import data for your reports is from the web. Let's say I want to compare my sales to state populations. I can import the data from online into Power BI. I'll start by selecting the dropdown under Get Data on the Home ribbon at the top of the workspace, and then select Web. Then, I'll paste the URL for my data and select OK. The Navigator dialog shows all the tables Power BI found on that web page. I can preview each one to find the table I'm looking for. I'll select Table 1, but based on the preview, I'll need to filter out some of the fields and clean up the rows. Select Transform Data to open the Power Query Editor. This is where you can modify the data used in your visualizations. To do this, I'll remove the columns I'm not interested in. I don't need the ranking columns, so I'll select the first column, and in the top ribbon, I'll select Remove Columns twice. Notice how, as changes are made, you'll be able to see them in the Query Settings panel on the right, in the Applied Steps box. If I need to undo a step, say removing a column, I can select the X next to that step. So now I have a clean table and it's ready for my workspace. Before closing the table, I'm going to give it a name by right-clicking the table name and selecting Rename. I'll enter States. Then I'll select Close and Apply. Now, the States table is in the Fields panel on the right side of the screen and is ready for use. Creating visual images starts with having the right data. Consider what data you have access to and try importing it into Power BI. Whether it's an Excel workbook or the web, Power BI can support you in collecting your data to create compelling visualizations. Try exploring some data sources this week. Imagine you're staring at a table in Excel and attempting to make sense of the relationships between several sheets. Working with data means dealing with the variety of formats it appears in. In this lesson, I'll show you how to use Power BI's intelligent import tool to assist you in creating relationships between several sources of data. You'll be able to join data to make it easier to work with. You can install Power BI on your PC by going to the Microsoft Store and searching for Power BI. When you open Power BI Desktop, you'll see the Start screen. I'll go ahead and close it. I'll open the report I've been working on. You can download this in the exercise files. It's called Customer Sample Report. This report has a list of names and addresses of my customers. I also have a separate Excel spreadsheet with their orders. I want to combine these to create a visual aid for the delivery team. First, select Excel Workbook from the Home tab on the top ribbon. Then, browse for the Sales Order Workbook, which has 2 sheets. You can download this in the exercise files. It's called Sales Order. Select both sheets, then select Load. After both spreadsheets load, you can see the tables in the Fields panel on the right. Select Model on the left menu, and you'll see the relationship Power BI found between the different tables when it loaded both sheets. A data model is the relationship between the different data sources. On the top ribbon, select Manage Relationships. Here, I can see that Sales Order ID is the common field between the Sales Order Detail table and the Sales Order Header table. Additionally, Customer ID is the common field between the Sales Order Header table and the Customer table. Now, all 3 of the tables are connected. Let's explore the Customer ID relationship by selecting the second row and then Edit at the bottom. The cardinality field tells Power BI which table has the primary record for the Customer ID column. In our example, the Customer table is the primary record, so each Customer ID will appear once. A customer will likely place many orders, and therefore Power BI sets the cardinality to many to 1. You can modify this if necessary. I'll select OK, then close. Pulling data from multiple spreadsheets is a breeze in Power BI. You can easily create relationships between tables by finding the common fields in those tables, which means you can create reports across multiple tables. Take some time to build relationships in Power BI with your existing spreadsheets. You've got this. Adding visuals to your reports will make your presentations more engaging and more memorable. In this lesson, I'll walk you through a few ways that Power BI lets you build reports. In this example, I'll build multiple charts using sample data of a company's sales for 2021. You can install Power BI on your PC by going to the Microsoft Store and searching for Power BI. I have already imported the data from sales order and customer files, which you can find in the exercise files. On the visualization panel, there are several options to make a chart. I want to build one showing how many items were sold each month. I'm going to select the stacked column chart because it will let me place time on the bottom axis and count the orders on the vertical axis. A blank visual is added to my workspace. I'll select Order Date from the Sales Order Header table in the Fields list. Order Date gets added in the access box in Visualizations. Power BI determined that the field was a date and produces a date hierarchy of year, quarter, month, and day. I'll select the X next to year and quarter to remove them from my visualization since I only need month and day. Next, drag Order Quantity from Sales Order Details into Values. The data values showed on the chart will be the sum of items sold that month. The visual is populated but very small. I'll select the bottom right corner of the visual and drag it to fill the screen. Now I can see that the most items were sold in February. I might prefer to see this with the date on the vertical axis, so I can select Stacked Bar Chart. The last change I want to make to this chart is to give it an easily understood name. Right now, it's Order Quantity by month. In the Visualizations panel, I'll select Format, expand Title, and change the title text to be Monthly Orders. These visualizations will help you to analyze the data at a glance. Now that I've built my first Power BI visualization, I want to create one more before finishing this report. I'll shrink the monthly orders visual, giving me room to work. Next, let's create a donut chart to gain insight into the companies that purchase the most. The donut chart format will quickly show me the top purchasers. In the Home ribbon, select New Visual. In the visualization pane, I'll select Donut Chart. First, I'll pull in the total sales using Line Total. Select the checkbox next to Line Total in Sales Order Details. Looking at this, we see that the line total is being shown as a decimal number instead of a monetary sum. I'll select Line Total and we'll change the formatting of this by selecting Display the values in this column as currency. We see that the total for this chart is now $708,000 of sales. Now, select the checkbox for company name in the customer table, and the donut chart will populate with the customer names by total sales. Move and resize the two visuals so they show up well on the page. Finally, since this report will be for our California sales team, I'm going to apply a filter to the page. Expand the Filters panel and drag State Province from Customer into the Filters on this page box. This will allow me to apply a filter of Customer State equals California to all my visuals on the page. I'll select California and see the visuals change. February continues to be the month when most items are ordered by California customers. Eastside Department Store is the biggest purchaser in California. I now have a report ready to share with our California team. Bar charts and donut charts are just the beginning of what you can accomplish with this software. Power BI has many more options to help you present your data. Figure out what data points you can visually represent to help your team grow and collaborate. By finding opportunities to make visualizations, you can clearly communicate your impact and effectiveness to your team, clients, and stakeholders. Gathering feedback is a vital part of any business workflow. In this lesson, I'll show you how to share Power BI reports with your team. It's time to tell your story with data. The easiest way to share your data with stakeholders and collaborators is through exporting a PDF. You can install Power BI on your PC by going to the Microsoft Store and searching for Power BI. Once I have a Power BI report ready to distribute, I'll export the file. In the upper left menu, I'll select File, Export, and Export to PDF. Power BI exports a PDF format of your data, saving it to your Downloads folder and opening it in your PC's default PDF viewer. Now I can use it like any other file. I'll return to Power BI. To make your reports accessible by colleagues and customers online, your organization will need to have a subscription to Power BI. To publish your reports to the cloud, you'll need to sign in to your Microsoft 365 account with the button in the upper right corner of the screen. Then, to export the file to the web, on the Home ribbon, select Publish. Select My Workspace and continue. Power BI will begin publishing. In the Results window, select Open in Power BI. Power BI on the web opens, and I can see the same report I created on the desktop. I'm ready to share this report with my team, so I'll select Share and then enter the names of the people in my organization that I want to share it with. I'll add a quick message and then select Send. Another advantage of having an online subscription to Power BI is the ability to create dashboards. While reports are a page of visualizations, you can think of dashboards as a story based on reports. I'll select Home on the left menu, and then I'll open a sample report supplied by Power BI, the Sales and Returns sample. There are a few reports listed under Pages. Let's look at the Net Sales and Returns. Both reports have the category breakdown and store breakdown visualization. I want to create a side-by-side report with these three category breakdowns: Sales, Returns, and Store. Instead of recreating the visualization, I can create a dashboard by pinning the visualizations to a new dashboard. In the upper right corner of each visualization, select the pin icon. The Pin to Dashboard dialog appears. I can create a new dashboard and name it Sales Dashboard, then select Pin. Now, on the left menu, I'll select Workspaces, My Workspace, and select the Sales dashboard. This is where the visualization is pinned to the dashboard. I could continue to add more visualizations to this dashboard from other Power BI reports. From here, you can tell a story about product sales and profitability. Power BI provides several options to collaborate and review reports. Try sharing your reports with colleagues for feedback. Collaboration is essential to growth and ensures that stakeholders have the chance to sign off on the visualizations you create before they are shared with the world. We've reached the end of this course, but this is just the start of your journey using Forms, Power Automate, Excel, and Power BI to take your data management to a new level. You may want to enhance the skills you learned in this course or learn totally new technical skills as you advance. At Microsoft Support, you can find a variety of videos to help you refresh and learn. You can also attend online classes and virtual workshops hosted by the Microsoft Store. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you use these new skills to help you manage your data more. And I hope that you use hosted by the Microsoft Store. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you can also attend online classes and virtual workshops hosted by the Microsoft Store. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you use these new skills to help you manage your data more effectively. I hope you find cool insights as you explore.